Okay, so this video is going to go over acid-base problems. A lot of patients will have an acid-base imbalance due to a variety of things, but what are we going to see when we do an assessment? So when presented with a list of signs and symptoms, it is very important to understand what you would see if the body was compensating versus if it wasn't. So I want the focus of this video to be what you're going to see when the patient is compensating so you can identify the severity of the patient's situation. So being able to recognize these symptoms are important to providing the best care for the patient. So I'm going to go through a few examples. Okay, so we have Mr. Jones. He comes in with a pH of 7.32. So he's acidotic. His bicarb levels are 18, and his PaCO2 is 30. So Mr. Jones is in metabolic acidosis, and his respiratory system is compensating because we can see that the PaCO2 levels are outside of the normal range as well. We will see this compensation in the rate and the rhythm of the patient's respiration. So they are going to increase in rate and depth. His body is trying to blow off the CO2 in an attempt to raise his pH level. So his body is trying to get rid of as much acid as it can. So if you have a patient with metabolic alkalosis, on the other hand, you're going to see them hypoventilate. So their body is doing the reverse thing. It is attempting to keep as much of that CO2 in their system to help lower that pH. So you would see a drop in respirations, most likely below 12 breaths a minute, or turning down from their previous normal. Okay, so let's do a respiratory example. The patient has a pH of 7.29. Bicarb is 28, and his PaCO2 is 49. This patient is experiencing respiratory acidosis with compensation from the kidneys. Respiratory acidosis is due to hypoventilation because they are not blowing off that CO2. It is accumulating in their system, causing a decrease in that pH. So the kidneys are going to compensate by retaining bicarbonate in an attempt to raise that pH level. So respiratory alkalosis is usually resolved more quickly, so the kidneys do not have time to compensate. Compensation by the kidneys usually takes about 24 hours, so that's going to be more of a slow developing compensation, whereas compensation by your respiratory system is going to be quick and pretty immediate once the body starts sensing that change in the pH levels.